are here today for a special Mom's View from New York City. We are at the Maker Apartment in New York, and we are doing a back to school special. So we're going to be talking about issues around sending your kids back to school, what it was like for you to go back to school, and I'm hosting because I don't have any kids to go back to school. So I get to ask
the dirty
questions.
details.
So tell me all about it. We'll take some viewer questions as well and do our little back to school special. I'm very excited. We're in New York, it's the height of summer, but in just a few weeks, everyone will be going back to school. Are there things you guys are nervous about this year or excited about this year for your kids? Where are all the plans?
My child's not starting school necessarily. He's still in like pre-K.
Uh-huh.
He used to be excited to go, and now he like doesn't want to. And I wonder if it's because when he's with me all the time, and when he's with his dad, he goes. I think that the scheduling has been hard for him, so he's like not sure how he feels about it. So when I move back, I'm nervous that he's going to be like full time. And
is that going to be hard for you to not?
I mean,
have that
I think that it is, but I just respect the school system so much, and I think it's so great for kids. He's learned so much, and there's things that he'll like say. I'm like, where did you learn that?
Yeah.
You're so smart. He's like, at school. I'm like, see, it is a good place. You do need to go, but.
He's a smart. I've noticed actually that there's things that he knows that baby Tart doesn't know, and they're the same age, but she hasn't had that. She's been home with me because I'm such a selfish.
No, you're not at all. Well, I had to have him in when I lived in Idaho, so I had originally signed up for that daycare, and we were lucky to get in because it's like pretty hard to get in. So I got him in, and he was going full time, and then when I moved to California, obviously he was going only part time. So I think that's been hard for him.
It's so great when your daycare or your babysitter provides that, so that they start at such a young age, because that's what my kids did, and I feel like it was so beneficial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's been off for the summer of the program entirely, but he'll be going back.
Yeah, so come September, I want him to start getting on a schedule so he gets more comfortable with it and he feels good about going and secure and like he can count on that, those times. And it's so funny because the other day I said, he said, Mom, what time is it? And I'm like, why, do you have like plans? You have to go somewhere? He's like, no, what time is it? I'm like, it's 2:30. He's like, oh, it's nap time. So like he had remembered that from school that at 2:30 you take a nap. I'm like, yes, it is. Let's take a nap. That's a great idea.
Ready for a nap. How about you? Both of you have kids that have not been in school previously, going to school this year, right?
Yeah.
Baby Tard.
Engaged. Well, for us, we've honestly moved every year. So my kids have had a different school. Like Shaytards been to. Let's see, he went to a preschool, and then for each grade he's been in so far, he'll be going to third grade, he's been in a different school. And so it's kind of, I feel bad. I feel like, I'm not giving you the life that I had, because I was born and raised in the same town, same school, same junior high, same high school, all through growing up. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of been a struggle for me to accept the fact that my kids aren't going to have that same type of a life. And maybe, in a couple of years we'll totally settle down and that will be regular, but for now it's not. And it's been interesting to see how well he's been able to adjust. Mm-hmm. And the kids actually do really well with it. They were a little bit nervous. Every year we start, because they're going somewhere new, they get a little bit nervous, but they're excited. So I don't know, that's my biggest concern is, you're in a new place every year.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you guys think? How do you handle that?
I mean, what's going on for you?
Well, Braylee's going back to school. She loves school and she does really well. She's always adapted really easily, so it was okay for me to send her like to kindergarten and to preschool. I didn't have as much anxiety. I was sad, of course. I liked to have her with me, but I am having an anxiety attack about sending Gage because he's always just been with me, and especially last year getting to be home with him more. He's just kind of a mama's boy, and I love being with him. So the thought of sending him, I'm losing my mind.
Oh.
But it will be good for him because he's like me. Like, we're really homebodies. And I think that's why we get along so well. So it will be good for me to push him out and, I don't know, get him out there and socialize more.
I think that's interesting too, because when Princess Tard went to school, she was ready. She loved school, and every day she was home, she was like, when do I get to go to school again? So, but with Baby Tard, I feel the same. She's more of a homebody. When we told her she's going to go to school, she was excited, and she's like, Mom, I don't want to go to school. So,
yeah, it's really hard for me too, because I want to tell Gage, like, I want to keep you home with me, and then he'll be like, I want to stay home with you too, so I have to be like really excited, and that's hard because I'm not. So I have to be like, oh, it's gonna be so fun, but really I'm like dying inside. Like, he's my baby. I just want to hold him all day still.
Oh, it's so sweet. I can imagine that's really tough. I would want to keep both Gage and baby Tard at home with me too. So. Are there any traditions you guys have around back to school? Like things they always look forward to getting, or
School shopping.
Yeah.
What's on the list, or what are the things that you always get? Is there anything?
We've tried to like stick with if their backpack is still nice, you know, maybe use it again. But
Sure.
2 years is all we've gone with using the same backpack. We always get new backpack, new shoes, because they go through shoes like it's candy or something. It's like, you need new shoes already?
So do I. I got new shoes like they're candy.
I can always find
Aren't
one
they
of my
candy?
kids' shoes.
I know, right?
And I'm pretty sure one's usually at your house, maybe, or
Like under the seat, or like you pull it out of a random purse you haven't used. I'm like, there's that shoe.
you always find the other one when they don't fit anymore.
Yeah, and you're like, dang it.
So funny.
Shoes and
and backpacks. Do they get excited? Do they like, ask for back to school shopping stuff, or is it a chore? How does
This
it
year,
work?
Braylee's really excited. We were going somewhere, and Braylee was like, just a second, and she was on my computer. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm just looking at these clothes on Justice. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. So next week I'll be back in Utah, and we will be shopping with my mom.
That's so
We're
sweet.
planning it.
I remember that.
I think helping your kids prepare for school eases them into it, and they feel more part of the process rather than you take care of it as a parent and then you give them it and send them on their way. So like something that Cooper and I did to help him adjust, we went and bought him a little backpack, and he picked out the color and all the things he put inside of it, even though he didn't need them. I felt like he thought that was him preparing himself, and so going into daycare, he like had his like comfort, his backpack and the things that he had prepared, so it had made it better. But something that my family did in school that before we started that I loved is my dad always gave us a blessing, and just kind of like we talked about, you know, through the year, and like bless us to have like peace at mind, and to, you know, to pick good friends, and to, you know, study, and to have ease in school that we can, you know, focus on our, you know, because us butlers, we have ADD. So that was something that we like traditionally that I want to do with my kids, and just like kind of was like a special time with me and my dad where he helped me like prepare for school, because there's a lot of hard choices out there when it comes to like friends and groups and activities and choices, and I think it's something good to do as a family to sit down and talk about it instead of like, oh, school's just starting, yeah, the kids are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning of each year, to have that special blessing, because every year is so different in your life.
Yeah.
So we did that too growing up, and we've done that with Braylee and now with Gage.
I think that's important to not only prepare them, you know, physically, but emotionally, even, you know, whether it's a blessing or whatever you do in your family, maybe just have like a parent council with them, or like, you know, go out to dinner and just talk about maybe their concerns with what's coming up. And I think that's a really good idea.
Because it does feel like, even though the new year is in December, I always feel like the fall, even when I'm not in school, feels like the beginning of the new year. I mean, and it's partly that tradition of summer's over, you go to school. Actually, in the Jewish tradition, the Jewish New Year is right around that time. And it's a time where you're supposed to contemplate and think about your past year and think about the future year. So it helps to do that at that time anyways. But I love that idea of it's a new season. You've grown another year, you're entering a new grade. What are some of the goals for the year? What are some of the things we learned from the last year? What, you know, taking that time to put that into words. It's really great.
I think as parents, it's important to understand the school and what they have to offer. I mean, you could talk to your school counselor and you understand what's available and options for your kids. So that, like, oh, there's a bowling team. We love to go bowling as a family. See, this is something you could be a part of. Or knowing what's out there will help the kids feel more comfortable about their school. And there's always so much going on. As a parent, it's important that I think you stay involved and educated and know.
That's
I think so too, especially as hard as it is if you have, you know, if your parents work or if you work. Sometimes it's really hard to feel like you can get involved, but, you know, go to all those back to school events. As awful as it may sound, sometimes it's like, I don't want to go, but, you know, just go and get involved, and I think that shows your kids that you care. One thing that I've noticed that I want to try this year is, you know, we've been trying to make healthier eating choices, and it's been nice in California because they actually do have really healthy options. Not always, but usually for the most part they have healthy options. I think that we're going to try to integrate getting a lunchbox, and maybe one day a week doing, you know, bringing a lunch, because my kids actually like that. They're like, I want to bring a lunch to school. And I was raised like, you just eat at school and we don't have time to do anything else. So that's what we did, and I'm always that way. Last year I was like, no, I'm not making anything, I don't have time. But I think we're going to try to integrate that a little bit more. Maybe, you know, pay attention to the lunch schedule. You know, pick a day where maybe they're not having something they like and send a lunch with them so that they can enjoy that as well. And I think too, as parents, is we don't realize that we can go join our kids at lunch.
Totally.
Like I think it's important for you as a parent to go to the lunchroom, you know, go to lunch with your kids maybe at breakfast or even at lunch and just see what they have, see how it works, you know, and just kind of get to know that side of it too.
Yeah.
It's really smart. You probably see a lot when you go and do that, because kids don't know yet to hide their social behavior. Do you feel like your kids and you, it's a two-parter, are more concerned about relationships with teachers and academic stuff, or the social dynamics with other kids?
Social dynamics.
Yeah, sure. Oh, Braylee loves her teacher. She like writes her teacher notes, and she has she loves adults, so she has like this bond, and she had it with her kindergarten teacher and her first grade teacher that she wanted to be exactly like her. She wanted to cut her hair shorter like her teacher. So,
So cute.
right now she really focuses a lot on her teacher.
So are you worried about, does it make you concerned about who her teacher will be next year?
Yeah.
Because you know that relationship's so important to
Especially
her.
if it's a guy. I don't know what we would do. She's always had a girl.
You know, that's just
She wants to cut her hair like him.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna start wearing these shirts.
That's interesting too, because I actually remember that I always had female teachers. I'm going into 5th grade. I had a male teacher, and I was scared. I was like, this is weird. This is just not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I remember adjusting really well, and he was a really great teacher. But teachers is a big one. I've had a few teachers in the past that were my kids' teachers that I didn't necessarily like. I didn't really like the way they taught, but my kids still were able to do a good job. And I think because I was involved, and I just sort of, you know, you go and you volunteer, and you kind of get to know the teacher, get to know the system, and you just get to know teachers' different strengths and weaknesses, and you can kind of help compensate at home
That's so
for
smart.
those.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. My biggest pet peeve was parents who would call and complain, but yet
Right.
they were the parents who never showed up for like the one-on-ones that the teachers would take time to do, or the back to school or the registration conferences. Like, it just drives me nuts when parents don't enter the school doors, but yet they have so much concerns and complaints. And I understand there's busy parents who are working and single parents who don't have a second to stop in. But if you can somehow find a way to manage to like go sit down and have your one-on-one like parent-teacher conferences, those are so essential. So you really understand like what the teacher expects of your student, then you can hear your student side and bridge the gap of like, okay, you shouldn't hate them, your teacher's really trying to do this with you. And I just think parents need to really take advantage of, because the school lays out the opportunities.
Also, like, I'm just thinking about Braylee's next teacher, about going and talking to them and
Yeah.
letting the teachers know, like, my daughter, like, her outlook on school is going to depend on how you treat her.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
And
not all
teachers
teachers
love
would
that, though.
love notes every day.
Yeah. But I think people
Teacher would
underestimate.
love a note from Braylee.
What? Like our faculty, I felt like they were so eager to be involved with any parent, and any parent who came in, they would never turn them away and be like, oh, I'm too busy. Like, teachers, they're always underestimated and underpaid, and that's what's so frustrating about the school. Like any education system, there's all these cuts. I'm like, these people work so hard. They show up before they're supposed to. They stay later. And they have families as well, but teachers are willing to talk to the parents.
Yes.
I am assuming that where I come from, it seems like that's how it is, and I would hope that's how it is everywhere. But
I think it's important to give the teachers the benefit of the doubt too, because you might not necessarily agree with everything that they do or how they teach, but they're really trying. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest, teachers
hard.
have a really tough job, and just this past year, I noticed that Shaytards was just having. Like, I didn't really like what he was coming home and telling me about his teacher, like, oh, she was upset again today. And I'm like, why was she upset? What's going on at your school? And, through more conversation, through going to the school, I realized that she had a couple students that were really, really challenging for her. And so kind of putting myself in her shoes, thinking, wow, that's really tough. So I talked to Shaytards about that and said, I think it's just your job to just try to be the best student you can and help her out. And she came back with, your child is just a wonderful student. And, just being able to kind of put yourself in those shoes, because I was like getting mad, and I'm like, she should not be in a bad mood at school, and she should change her attitude. And I'm like, she's got a tough job. So just try to give your teachers the benefit of the doubt and be involved.
Yeah.
If you can possibly volunteer and help out, they love that and appreciate that too.
That's so nice. What about the social dynamics? Are you concerned? What do you do when you feel like seems like it's such a hard thing? You want your kids to make friends, and can you get involved? Can you help? Do you try to stay back away? How do you handle that?
That's been a difficult one, and where we've been through so many different schools, I've seen how, like Shaytards had more friends at another school than he did at this past school, and I've just tried to compensate for that by getting him more involved with Scouts and the other, church activities or, other karate, trying to get him more involved with other things. But I think that in the long run, it's just been good for him to realize that it's okay not to fit in perfectly with a group or a crowd. Like he hasn't really had a group of friends that he's been friends with, but he's been a really good kid on his own. And that can be really hard because kids want to be accepted and they want to feel like they really fit in. But I don't know, I think that having a good home life helps too.
I think the older they get, the harder it's going to be.
I know.
Like Cooper's 4, he plays with anything that will talk to him, or like any person, anywhere we go, he's like, you want to be my friend and play with my trucks? Okay. I'm like, Cooper, he's a grown man. I'm sure he doesn't want to get on the floor. But I'm like worried about when he gets older, and I just get fearful of the groups, like just seeing Logan and my brother. I have a younger brother in high school, just seeing like how high school is now in this like 2012, and then imagining how it's going to be. I'm like,
so scary.
Please don't do drugs, please.
I love what you said about that it can be good for a kid sometimes to not fit in. I mean, I feel like that's more normal than not. There are very few kids, I think, who really feel 100% secure, especially in high school, about their entire group of friends and that they just got it together. And sometimes those are the kids who have a hard fall afterwards when they realize that the whole world doesn't always just embrace you, you know?
Totally.
I mean, it can be hard to have those misfit moments. I've certainly had them. I would love to hear if you guys have had them too. But it is great that you view that as strengthening. I think some parents are eager to be like, well, let me fix this. Let me find you friends. Let me take care of this, And I think feeling like, okay, he's gonna learn and grow from this and have inner strength is a really great way to look at it.
I think as humans, we all want to be accepted and loved and have friends, and I think being social is very important, and it's okay to like have a desire to want those things, but like you said, like sometimes you have to stand alone to know who you are, and I think high school is the best time to kind of like find those grounds and where you stand. But it's scary that people can be so mean.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like you said, like coming from a small town and seeing the most popular kids who were like, involved and just the most popular kids in high school. I'm like looking back now, I'm like, they're still doing the same thing, hanging out with the same people, like, which is okay if you're comfortable with that, but they haven't really, I don't feel like they've really experienced or grown or like pushed outside of their boundaries. They just want to stay where they're comfortable, which is okay, but I want my kids to like live and to see things and to try things and
that means sometimes it's not successful. Sometimes you have to be okay with the fact that it didn't work out. And that's great. I'm going to take a viewer question. For those of you wondering why I have this laptop on my lap, there is a reason, and it's to take a viewer question. Jupe1997 asks, I'm going into high school next month. What is your best advice for incoming freshmen?
My advice would be involved. Get involved. Go in with an open heart and an open mind. Don't close yourself off to groups, and introduce yourself to everybody. That was my mom's best advice. I would just sit next to somebody in class and be like, hey, what's your name? What's your schedule? Do we have any teachers? And just do your best to, and you're going to get rejected, but just like have fun, go in with a smile, keep your horizons and options open.
Yeah. What were your first days of high school like? I feel like we've talked about high school before, but I don't think we've ever talked about that first day.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was so fun. I don't know. It was scary, obviously. It's scary when you're walking around the halls. I've always been short, but being the short little freshman, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It was exciting, and I can remember feeling nervous and feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to fit in. Hopefully I do. But I think that the best advice I could give anybody just going into that is, enjoy and embrace the excitement, but don't take yourself too seriously, and don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't let others affect your life too much. Yeah. Like, I remember just like, like the senior boys or whatever were so handsome and like being so nervous around them, or just different things like that. Just relax and realize that everybody's going through the exact same thing. Yeah. Like, as popular as they may look, or as put together as they may look, everybody's nervous and everybody has insecurities. Yeah. You may not think it, but I promise you, everybody does.
I remember Janet said on the book club the other day, it's everybody's first day of school. Exactly. It's not just your first day of school. It was good.
So the more you can relax and just be open and outgoing, like Carly said, and just be yourself. Honestly, like, People are going to love you for who you are, and if they don't, they're not worth hanging out with anyways.
Amen, sister.
It's
Well
true.
said.
It's true.
What about you guys? Were your schools, when you went to high school, were you with a bunch of people from your middle school, or was it a whole new group, or how did that work?
We had 3 middle school or junior highs, I believe, feed into 3 different high schools. So it was like a whole new crowd, but I was a cheerleader, so I felt like we had been practicing through the summer. So I've been getting to know some of the older girls and the older like boys we had to like condition together. So, and we performed on the first day of school in front of like seniors, freshmen, juniors, sophomore, everybody. So like, you know, it was super exciting, but you know, it was a whole new crowd. And so I think people assume like, well, they're a cheerleader, but they know what's going on. But the senior girls were so mean to us. Like, if they were walking down the same hall as we were, they would bump us with their backpacks and like push us over, or they would bark at us or like yell at us.
Bark at you?
But like me being as feisty, I'm
Like you were dogs?
Yes, yes. And they would blow they
so
had
classy.
senior whistles, they would blow them, and like they had initiation in our high school. Our initiation, they said, was so bad that it was put in Teen Magazine. This girl had a heart condition that was conditioned with a group of us, and she like had this like heart problem. They did like looking back now, I'm like, we were being dramatic. It was like fun, but they made us do push-ups and like do these things, and I guess her like heart was murmuring. It was bad for her, but they made us like put cat food on our faces, and like gave us unibrows and made us put our underwears on the inside out of our clothes, and then they had the senior boys come over. So we had unibrows with mascara, our underwears on. They had sprayed us with those. We had cat food on our face.
It's like a movie.
They put like birdseed in our hair. It happened.
That's awful. I think for some people that would just be funny and silly, but for some people that's mortifying.
Yeah.
That would be
I mean,
mortifying.
I know, and people are like, oh, you were a cheerleader, high school is easy. I was like, no, the girls were so mean to us, and they hated us, and they made us do awful things. They made us lay in the back of a bed of a truck, and they were like driving around and like swerving. This girl cut her head on. Yeah, it was pretty intense.
That's not funny at all. I don't think.
I'm like, it was fine, you guys. And
Was your mom dying? My mom would have been like, no.
well,
Not happening.
they're like, if you guys don't come to initiation, we're gonna make your life hell in high school. So we all showed up like little ear freshmen, like, okay, we're here to do this, and I mean, it's
Don't
it's
put up
funny,
with it.
yeah. But now hazing is like tolerated at no
Not at
level,
all.
like nothing like that is ever allowed. But like our girls, so then the girl that had the problem, her parents obviously were very concerned and upset, and they like reported it, and then we all got called in, like names were turned in. So then we're all fearful because we're like, if we tell them what happened, they're gonna hate us even more, and we were scared. So I was like, you know, I don't care, I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't complain. I wasn't like, oh, it was the worst thing ever, but like I was like, this is what happened. And so they took the story from there, but the girls, like names who had gone in and talked to the principal, they were even meaner to us. But I was like,
Of course.
I don't care. Go ahead.
That takes courage. I'm really glad you did that. I think
Yeah.
it's so important to be honest in those situations.
Well,
And
it was
can be
hard
so
too,
scary.
yeah, because it was like we had to go to school with these girls, and they knew that we had told. But my mom was just like, you know what? If anything happens, like we'll take care of it with administration. And I felt like in the end, like towards the end of the year, like we all ended up. It was like something we laughed about, and something like, remember we had to put cat food on our faces? I was gagging. I was like almost vomiting. And here's all these hot senior boys just like looking at us and like unibrow, and I'm all.
I know that sort of hazing thing that people think it's fun, and maybe I just was never singled out for that, so I never experienced the fun. But it sounds really, really.
Yeah, it wasn't
sounds like
fun.
a power trip.
Yeah,
no, it's
totally.
like, and I just,
Totally is.
it's
Yeah.
a bullying in a way. It's
But
taking
like-
advantage of your
yeah.
position of like popularity authority or popularity power over people that are coming in. And I think that's sick and mean.
Well, it meant to
I
like
think-
I think it was meant to be a fun thing, so I think that's why my memory is like I'm laughing through it, because I think I would have been tearful, like terrified, but I just remember thinking, you know what? I'm gonna embrace this and just like not let them get the best of me and have fun with it, because I'm not gonna be the girl that they got to. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good way to handle it.
And I think at the end of the night, like they had some of them after all the mean stuff, they like took them to do nice things, but I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm gonna go home be with my friends, and I was over
I
it.
probably would have been mortified.
I actually like cat food on my face.
Yeah, that's actually a really good exfoliant, so whatever. Thanks for that. But like the first day was terrifying because like the girls are mean, but I just remember like I was like, you know what? This one person is not going to ruin my experience. And I loved high school.
Yeah.
And then when I was a senior, I was like, I'm not going to do that to those girls, those younger girls.
So wonderful.
I think it's important too to remember that, you know, you were brand new and you were, you know, nervous about all that and stuff, but there's other people out there that, you know, feel singled out as well. And so like if you can just embrace other people in. And if you notice that happening in your school and people aren't okay with it, then say something, and stand up.
Don't be selfish. Don't think everyone's going to want to try to be your friend. You go out and be the person to be everybody's friend, and then you can make your own circle, right?
That's so nice.
My first day of school was
No cat food on your face?
No. I had one best friend through middle school, and all our middle school went right to high school. I'm from a really small town, and we were so scared to go to high school because middle school was the hard time for me. The girls were really catty, so my friend's older sister was a senior, so she took us, and we walked in together, and her sister was really confident, so we were like, yeah, we're with her. But then I realized everyone my age was so nervous because we were all just like, hey. So
it's nice you had a good friend.
It was good to have a friend. So if you guys have a friend, go to school together, and by the end of the year I had a whole new group of friends, and we became friends with a lot of other people. So it wasn't like we just clumped together the whole time. I agree, be involved. But if you have a good friend, it's always nice to have somebody.
Did you guys stay friends all through high school?
Yeah, we stayed friends. She actually is amazing. She went and modeled in Japan. So, our paths kind of went in opposite ways. And I met Casey when I was a sophomore, and everything else disappeared in my life except for him. So, yeah, she went and modeled, and she's amazing. And so, yeah, I still consider her a great friend, and I will always, always be grateful for our friendship.
That's so nice.
So, yeah.
The only thing I would say, advice for first day or first year, is to be careful of the fast friends that you make really quickly, who you're really excited about because they're brand new, and then I'm just speaking from an experience I had when I was in high school, and I made this friend. She was really cool, and I liked her so much, and I couldn't believe she liked me as much as she did. And it was right when grunge was really big in San Francisco, and she convinced me that we should wash our hair for many weeks. And I look back on that. Yeah. Back on that now.
That's hilarious.
And then, later she found someone else that she thought was, the next cool thing, and I had my feelings terribly hurt. But that was a learning experience, but I mostly just look back and think, Sarah, why did you go along with that? Why did you let not that it's the end of the world to let your hair be disgusting, but, it's one of those things where you forgo your own judgment because you're following someone else because you want to fit in, and I think I would say to my younger self, stick to your own, stick to your own judgment. You can wash your hair if you want to.
I love that. I don't think you should ever have to change who you are to unless
friends.
it's an improvement and it really is helping you in the long run, but you should never have to change who you are to be accepted by somebody else. Nobody should determine who you are, what you need to stand for, what you need to be. That's not okay. It's cool to wash your hair. Cat food on your face is not cool.
Having a friend is good. What about you?
I had 3 friends that we had kind of stuck together pretty tight, and so that was fun. And we also, this is one other thing that I want to say. I'm I don't know how to transition, but friends in high school were awesome, and I loved my friends, but you can have those disagreements, and you can have things that you don't always, you might fight, you might not agree on things, you might, have falling outs with your friends. But that's one thing as a parent that I was reading in Susan Stifelman's book. We had her on the Moms View a while ago, about establishing a great relationship with your kid now and continuing that through high school, because I think a lot of parents feel like, oh, my kid's in high school, they're older, they don't think mom's cool, I should back off and let them do their thing. But don't. Still be in your child's life, know what they're doing, where they're going, who they're with. Even if they are going out with friends and they don't really care to tell you and they don't want to talk about it, try to establish common ground with your kids and be involved, because it's when times like that, when their friends start, falling away and going other directions, that they're going to need an anchor, and that's what the parents need to be. So I was lucky to have really good friends, but I did have some friends that did fall away from me and broke my heart, and then boyfriends that was oh, my life is over. And you just have to have a strong anchor at home to be able to get through those. I think.
This was great. I feel ready to go back to school. Can I
know.
go back to
Can we go to high school again? That was so fun.
I feel ready to go school shopping anyways.
Wouldn't it be fun though to go back knowing what we know now?
I try to tell my mom, I'm legally, could I do that? What's that movie where she goes back to high school? I'm
Never Been
I just
Kid.
want to do a documentary. My mom's that's illegal. I'm oh, dang it.
I like your idea, going back to our
old selves.
Yeah, our old selves, knowing what we know now.
Yeah.
I think it brings in perspective all of you who are going to school and you're nervous and scared to death. Just know that this is the time for you to have fun, enjoy life, but remain true to who you are.
Yes.
And you will come out of it a more stronger, confident, happy person.
And the choices that you make in high school can affect your life. Like, take classes that will prepare you for college and prepare you for your future, and be the person that you are, or want to be.
And make good, physical choices and emotional choices, because they will affect you later.
Don't do anything that you wouldn't want everybody to find out about, or don't tell a secret and think that nobody will ever. I think that's girls in high school. That's the biggest number one fight starter.
She told me not to
tell you, but I'm
don't
just going to tell you because I trust you.
So true.
I think that might still happen.
Yeah, no, it totally does. But in high school, it's don't gossip, because when you gossip, it's going to get out, and then it's going to start a fight, and then it's going to make people not like you. So if you don't like somebody, handle the problem to their face.
Yeah.
And then it just honestly, that's my best advice. I wish I could go back and tell myself, I would let people come and tell me these things, and after a while I was like, I just need to tell somebody because I can't hold it all in. So then I would tell my really good friend who I thought I trusted, but she's still a good person, but she's human and we make mistakes. So don't gossip, don't do anything you don't want your parents to find out about. Don't post anything mean on Facebook, because everybody will find out about it. Yeah. Just make good choices. Be somebody.
Just be a good person.
Be somebody worth that Santa would visit. If you believe in Santa. He knows if you're naughty or if you're nice.
I think too, to always remember, I think in high school, if something bad happens to you, it seems like the end of the world. Those bad times will pass. If you get in a fight with your friend, you can make that better, and that will pass. Don't dwell on little things, because I think that's what I did in high school. Worried so much about someone not liking me, or bad times will pass and good times will come. And
it seems like the end of the world
Totally.
are so important, and
There's so much advice to give.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm
one more.
I want to Hakuna Matata, YOLO, all those things.
YOLO, but not in a gross slutty way.
Yeah.
YOLO.
I did see a caption on Facebook. It showed these girls drinking and it said this is not YOLO, and it showed these girls partying, and then it showed these two guys skydiving and said this is YOLO.
Exactly.
And I think that's so true.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. This was really fun. I was reliving, and thank you guys for your great questions, and I hope you'll continue to post questions and comments below. We have a special back to school giveaway. Tell us all about it.
We are going to give away a backpack with some school supplies, and if you guys would like to win that, go to our Facebook page and answer what is your number one goal for this upcoming year, because I know you're going to have lots of goals, but what's your number one goal for the upcoming school year?
Thank you guys so much. Have a great back to school first day.
Make good choices.
We love you.